Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. This is Less is More Coaching video podcast. And we are currently on 9 different social media platforms. We are here on Clubhouse live in a room. Um, and we are also on Facebook Live on several, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places in Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And the opportunity for this club is I am here speaking about some awareness, Black history awareness. I spoke about yesterday, and then we jumped into the wonderful world of coaching. And I'd like to continue with starting a little bit. I had mentioned a book that I think every person should read. I think I'm just getting into it, so I can't speak on it yet with some largesse. But I wanted to start a little bit today by actually reading the foreword of this book, which is a couple of pages long. And the book, for those of you that are watching, here it is. It's White Fragility: Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. Robin DiAngelo, and the forwards by Michael Eric Dyson. And it's a New York Times bestseller. It has opened up just a crack in the door for me. The thing that I spoke about yesterday really made a big difference, and I'm looking to continue to expand on that. And another book, when it comes to charitable organizations, that we'll be speaking about coming up next week, is this book called Toxic Charity by Robert Lupton. And another opportunity, because so many people think, oh, if we just throw enough money at something, the problem will go away. And there's a lot of studies that have been done that will tell you that just throwing money at something, it doesn't go away. It may shift it for a moment, and society will reorganize it once again to a very similar place as it is right now. And so, without any further ado, here is the foreword to White Fragility. One metaphor for race and racism won't do. They are, after all, exceedingly complicated forces. No, we need many metaphors working in concert, even in different areas of the culture, through a clever division of linguistic labor. Race is a condition, a disease, a card, a plaque, a plague, original sin. For much of American history, race has been Black culture's issue, racism a Black person's burden. Or substitute any person of color for Black, and you've got the same problem. Whiteness, however, has remained constant. In the equation of race, another metaphor for race beckons. Whiteness is the unchanging variable. Or, to shift metaphors, whiteness has been, to pinch Amari Baraka's resonant phrase, the changing same, a highly adaptable and fluid force that stays on top, no matter where it lands. In a sense, whiteness is at once the means of dominance, the end to which dominance points, and the point of dominance too, which, in its purest form, in its greatest fantasy, never ends. To be sure, like the rest of race, whiteness is a fiction. What, in the jargon of the academy, is termed a social construct, an agreed on myth that has empirical grit because of its effect, not its essence. But whiteness goes even one better. It is a category of identity that is most useful when its very existence is denied. That's its twisted genius. Whiteness embodies Charles Baudelaire's admonition that the loveliest trick of the devil is to persuade you that he does not exist. Or, as an alter ego of the character Keyser Söze says in the film The Usual Suspects, the greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince the world that he didn't exist. The devil, racism, another metaphor, same difference. Robin DiAngelo is here to announce, in the words of evangelicals and rappers Rick Ross and Jay Z, the devil is a lie. Whiteness, like race, may not be true. It's not a biologically heritable characteristic that has roots in physiological structures or in genes or chromosomes, but it is real in the sense that societies and rights and goods and resources and privileges have been built on its foundation. D'Angelo brilliantly names a whiteness that doesn't want to be named, disrobes a whiteness that dresses in camouflage as humanity, unmasks a whiteness costumed as America, and fetches to center stage a whiteness that would rather hide in visible invisibility. It is not enough to be a rhetorician and a semiotician to deconstruct and demythologize whiteness. One must be a magician of the political and social, an alchemist of the spiritual and psychological too. One must wave off racist stereotypes and conjure a rich history of combating white supremacy and white privilege and white lies. A history that has often been buried deep in the dark, rich, Black American soil. D'Angelo knows that what she is saying to rich white folk in this book is what so many Black folks have thought and believed and said over the years, but couldn't be heard because white ears were too sensitive, white souls too fragile. D'Angelo joins the ranks of white anti-racist thinkers with a stirring call to conscience and, most important, consciousness in her white brothers and sisters. White fragility is a truly generative idea. It is a crucial concept that inspires us to think more deeply about how white folk understand their whiteness and react defensively to being called to account for how that whiteness has gone under the radar of race for far too long. D'Angelo is wise and withering in her relentless assault on what Langston Hughes termed the ways of white folks. But she is clear-eyed and unsentimental in untangling the intertwined threads of social destiny and political prescription that bind white identity to moral neutrality and cultural universality. D'Angelo bravely challenges the collapse of whiteness into national identity. No less an authority than Beyonce Knowles recently remarked, "It's been said that racism is so American that when we protest racism, some assume we're protesting America." D'Angelo proves that Beyonce is right, that the flow of white identity into American history, of racist beliefs into national beliefs, must be met head on with a full-throated insistence that what it means to be American is not what it means to be white, at least not exclusively or even primarily. This nation is a far more complicated in its collective self-understanding. D'Angelo, in a masterly way, takes apart the notion that identity politics is a scourge, at least when it involves people of color or women. She blows down the house of white racial cards built on the premise that it can or should rest on something beyond identity politics. D'Angelo forces us to see that all politics have rested on identities and that those identities are critical features of wrestling with how we have gone wrong in the effort to set things right, which too often has meant make them white. We cannot possibly name the nemesis of democracy or truth or justice or equality if we cannot name the identities to which they have been attached. For most of our history, straight white men have been involved in a witness protection program that guards their identities and absolves them of their crimes while offering them a future free of past encumbrances and sins. Robin DiAngelo is the new racial sheriff in town. She is bringing a different law and order to bear upon the racial proceedings. Instead of covering up for a whiteness that refused to face up to its benefits and advantages, its errors and faults, she has sought to uphold the humanity of the unjustly maligned while exposing the offenses of the undeserving celebrated. White fragility is an idea whose time has come. It is an idea that registers the hurt feelings, shattered egos, fraught spirits, vexed bodies, and taxed emotions of white folk. In truth, their suffering comes from recognizing that they are white, that their whiteness has given them a big leg up in life while crushing others' dreams, that their whiteness is the clearest example of the identity politics they claim is harmful to the nation, and that their whiteness has shielded them from growing up as quickly as they might have done had they not so heavily leaned on it to make it through life. White Fragility is a vital, necessary, and beautiful book, a bracing call to white folk everywhere to see their whiteness for what it is and to seize the opportunity to make things better now. Robin DiAngelo kicks all the crutches to the side and demands that white folk finally mature and face the world they've made while seeking to help remake it for those who have neither their privilege nor their protection. And that is the forward to the book White Fragility. And yesterday, I spoke about a few things that I believe have uh, shifted my perspective, along with this book is starting to, that I'm going to keep mentioning in this first part so that people get a sense of why is this talk of American slavery so much different than any other slavery in the world that's ever happened in all the years. Because I was a naive white guy that went around living going, well, there's been slavery everywhere in the world, all through all nations history. Genghis Khan, the Egyptians, the pharaohs, how were the pyramids built? All of Rome and the Roman conquest, creating slaves, and all of the gladiator and that whole arena, no pun intended, of slavery and Persia and the slavery in Persia, and some of the things that are as horrific as um, Jews in the Second World War and the Holocaust. And there were really four or five things, depending on how you look at them, four or five, that to me, I understood from this conversation 2 weekends ago, or this past weekend, excuse me, time flies. And the first was this was the first slavery here in the United States, back then, the Americas, where the slaves were treated subhuman, long term, for 400 years. And if you think about that, that's could be 6 generations, 6 generations of people. It was, and that slavery, people didn't know anything, like they were 3/5 human. The second was the first time in history to keep people from reading, to keep people from reading. The kids couldn't read, they weren't allowed to go to school. The third, it was the first lifelong generational, as I said, no way out for 400 years. Like there was just no way. And so, with that, the longevity of it, 400 years. And, no matter what my background, and around a little taste of, and I say a little taste after some of the conversations and some of the reading that I've been doing of what it was to be discriminated against, being the token white guy in a Hispanic company. And, that my job was cleaning the toilets in the places we cleaned. And, luckily it never bothered me. I'd been in the military, and my 3 roommates for a year in the military were Black, one from the East Coast, one from the West Coast, and one from the Deep South. And, I made a deal with them. Look, I will pass inspection in the bathroom, which is where most people fail. I will get us to pass inspection. and you'll laugh at this a little bit. And I said, none of you can sit. I mean, can stand to use the bathroom. You have to sit to use the bathroom. And if anybody comes into our room, you are responsible for making sure they too sit. If they need to stand up, they can go use somebody else's because we're going to leave the door closed to make sure. And we never got gigged on the bathroom the entire time, even when the drill instructor unscrewed the vent, had a white glove on, stuck his arm all the way to his shoulder, put it down, and brought it back. It was still clean, and we still passed. And for me, we were all the same. We were treated all the same by the drill instructors. We were all treated a little bit like poop. And that's okay because that's what we were there for, to become one. And, I saw that in my little cases, as soon as even in the military, as soon as I put civilian clothes on and I went out into the world outside of the military, and if I had a hat on so people couldn't see from my haircut, I could blend in down in Oklahoma. I could blend in. But as a Black person, they would never blend in. And I found out some of the history and the stories about that whole thing. So listen to yesterday's podcast. You'll get a little bit more. And you'll continue to get more as I bring this up, because I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to spend some time on this every week in my podcast. And why? Because at least all the way through February, it deserves it. It makes a difference. And for me, it's causing me to be responsible to learn and to understand and to step into another person's world, which I am super committed to. And if you go to my website and you check in, and you'll see my website is now right below me on the it's in my bio on Clubhouse, and it's in the pictures or on all the live streams. It's right listed below, www.leshill with one s.info. And you go in, you can see this is a big commitment that I have. There are the 7 steps of communication. If you find that, I'll leave you to dig it out. It's in the coaching resources, and it's all free to, just go in there and you can print it out. And I have a heart for this and a passion for this. I want to understand. I want to learn, and I'm going to continue to learn until I die around this topic, because that is what it means to me to come alongside my brothers and sisters that have are born into it. And what does it look like? Because I've watched friends and neighbors whose kids are 4 and 5 years old play together, and they don't see color at that age. They don't see or know even any difference. It's not until they get a little older, 6, 7, 8, and then the conversation has to happen. And I can't even imagine. Tell you what, if I was starting kids all over again at that age, I would have the conversation from my side. You will never, never consider yourself greater than, that you will consider yourself equal to. And remember this conversation and what has impacted the world here in this country for 400 years. So, with that, I appreciate you listening. And we're now going to jump into the second part of this. And yesterday, I introduced, there's another document that is on my website called Welcome to the Wonderful World of Coaching. And I started yesterday in sharing that there is a common theme around many, many places that I'm successful in business. I've made $1 million and I'm going to be a coach. And they suddenly start calling themselves a coach. And there is nothing out there currently that says, here's what it takes to be certified. Here's what it takes to be a coach. And this is what you have to pass. There is none of that. Not like there is to be a doctor or a therapist or a counselor or a psychologist, or um, as I said, a psychiatrist, or even a lawyer, right? They all have degrees that are associated in schools around the world. For coaches, not so. Anybody can become a coach. Now, the effectiveness and what is putting into their hands is the next conversation. And as I said, this document that I have, Welcome to the Wonderful World of Coaching, I want to just continue to share and build what it is, because there's an expectation when you hire a coach. You are stepping into an agreement with that coach. You are stepping into saying, okay, I'm going to be coachable, even when I don't want to be, and even when I'm stuck. And that's part of the journey. And so, for going into the second part of the wonderful world of coaching, the first part was, what you can expect from me, the coach. And now we're getting into the next part. What will I expect from you? You are going to always be in a quiet place with no distractions during our calls, because this is sacred you time. You've paid for it. I'm going to expect that you will be honest, open, and committed to grow, so we can bust those comfort zones that are holding you back. It will be necessary for you to purchase a hardbound journal or an electronic notepad or iPad for our calls, so you can take notes on your breakthroughs, our insights together in your homework. I recommend a hardbound journal or electronic notepad, notebook, or iPad, because we tend to not lose them and keep them for years to come. We are now a team focused on helping you accomplish more because of our relationship than you would alone. My sessions with you are of top importance to me. I know just by the fact that you have decided to work with me as your coach, that you're an achiever, and that you have a strong desire to step up your performance and get more out of the life that you create. I want this process to serve you well, and for the momentum that you establish to stay with you for the rest of your life. A wonderful tool you may use for our coaching is the coaching planning form, designed to prepare us both for each call. You'll be capturing the action you completed, challenges you experienced, and what your outcome is for our next call. This will get you in the mindset prepared for each of our calls. And by emailing it to me prior to our session, I'll be prepared before we even speak. This saves time, enhances focus, and creates massive momentum. Again, the purpose of coaching is to help you get the results you weren't getting on your own. Our main focus is going to be on the action you are taking between the calls. If you don't take the action we agreed upon, I won't judge you. Rather, we will have an honest conversation about what prevented you from following through. This can be uncomfortable but necessary. After all, you are paying for results, and that's integrity. The next section is called feedback. You will experience a safe and welcomed environment to give me feedback for how the coaching process is working out. Everyone looks at the world differently, and when it comes to coaching, it's individualized. I'm going to come to each session with a curiosity in knowing more about who you are and how you see the world. One of the ways you can help me with this is by letting me know what can be improved in our coaching. When you call me, my ego goes on the shelf. This time is about you. I want to serve you so you reach those awesome goals that make your eyes light up. The extra time between sessions, I welcome and encourage you to connect with me between sessions. If you have a question, a challenge, you experience a breakthrough, or you just want to bounce some ideas around before a big meeting or event, send me an email or call me or text me. This extra time together is included for you as my client, as part of the service, and there's no extra charge. I do ask that we keep these calls to around 10 minutes. Communication. I invite you to share with me your stories, your wins, disappointments, anything you like, as well as your thoughts about your coaching experience. The ways you can get even more from your coaching experience. Woohoo! Now we're turning it up. Make our coaching sessions a priority. Come to every call with a clear idea of what you want to talk about. Take time before and during our time together to become centered, to breathe and be ready to engage. Do your own work between sessions. Use what you learn. Apply what you learn. Complete what you agree to accomplish. Be open minded, try new approaches, and experiment. Get to know yourself as you are now and ask yourself what, if anything, you need to modify to show up as the person that you want to be. Emulate the behaviors you admire. Success leaves clues. Stop tolerating. Think of ways you can distance yourself from energy draining people, places, and attitudes. Commit not to settle for less than what you want. Period. Tell the truth to yourself, to me, to everyone. Be willing to change the beliefs that do not serve you anymore. Session procedures, please call it the scheduled time for our sessions. Calling in for your session right on time is important, as we will need to end the session on time out of respect for other clients. Let's get started on getting those results your heart is craving for, to experience integrity. Thank you for making this commitment to yourself. When one life improves, it literally impacts 1,000 other lives. This is an informal agreement that would like for you to review and initial. The purpose of this is to assure that we're both clear about what we expect from our coaching interaction. Please let me know if there's anything below that is not a fit and we can talk about it. What I don't do as a coach: diagnose, treat, or fix, solve your problems for you, do your work for you, judge you, give you legal or financial advice, listen to your stone stories, listen to your stories, excuses, or complaints, support you in staying stuck, lie to you, and only tell you what you want to hear. What I ask from you as my client: set the agenda or topic for discussion for each session. Be resourceful and solution focused. Make sure you're in a quiet place with no distractions for each session. Be completely truthful to me and yourself. Be willing to stretch beyond your current comfort zones. Take responsibility for you or your actions. Call on time. Give a minimum of 24-hour notice if you need to cancel a session. Approach challenges as opportunities for growth. Let me know if something isn't working for you. Be open to new ideas and perspectives, and show up physically and mentally for each session. Have fun and enjoy the process. What I do as a coach, and notice I'm kind of repeating some of the stuff I said in the beginning, just to really have it be pronounced in long form and short form. Provide a process for help. You create a vision for what you want for your business and life. Help you build a strategy and action plan that will allow you to live that vision. Help you eliminate roadblocks that are holding you back. Build pace, build tempo, and build momentum to create the results you want. Show you specific methods for increasing your effectiveness. Help you organize your life for more power and fun. Provide support, encouragement, guidance, and reinforcement. Listen openly and actively. Recommend resources such as books, CDs, seminars, podcasts, videocasts, etc., for your growth. Ask powerful questions that create a new level of clarity. Reflect, mirror back to you. Offer different perspectives. Provide structure and accountability. Assist in setting goals, planning, and strategizing. Trust you to make your own decisions. Show up with your best interests at heart. Tell the truth. And then there's just some email information about it. And that's welcome to the wonderful world of coaching. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this today. I hope that you see the benefits of this video podcast. We'll be coming back to you next week on Monday and Tuesday. And don't forget, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be doing this streaming on the same platform here. And we're going to be going and speaking about, let me just pull up pull it up for you, and I will share with you the exact name and time. It is Coach Lesson Sujata Against All Odds Live podcast. How do we look at all of the police around the world and appreciate them was last week's, and this week's is a surprise. So come and see us tomorrow afternoon. We start at 4:30 Central and go for an hour. And Sujata, when you meet Sujata, she's the author of Against All Odds. You will see why I feel so privileged to be able to team up with her and provide this absolutely amazing opportunity to literally have a discussion back and forth on stage, on Clubhouse, and on 9 or 8 other social media platforms. And I want to thank you once again. This is Coach Les. You can see how to get a hold of me here below in the video. And I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for your listening and really appreciate it. And with that,
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
If you have any struggles in your business or your personal life, Les is your guy.
He's logical, he's empathetic, he has passion for helping people, and his ideas are genuinely thoughtful.
So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.